Hi, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk about all things web design, online marketing, and today, AI. This week's guest is Blume Bauer, who is an artist and business strategist with an impressive background in social media marketing design and as an artist herself. She also is an AI pioneer. She runs a groundbreaking Discord group of other women who are leaders in AI and is currently prepping a course to teach artists how to make more money from their art. To start us off, Blume, first of all, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for that great introduction.
Yay! So to start us off, would you tell us just a little bit about how you got started with AI and how you started using it in your business? Like, what got you into AI illustration?
Oh gosh, well, um, I guess Secret AI Society is what got me into it, really into it. My mom tried to get me into it a couple of years ago, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna love this! It's so amazing!" And at the time, I was just swamped with work and just life and everything, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that looks great," and I just never got into it. And then um, fast forward to earlier this year in January, I see the ads for Secret AI Society, and it's talking about making your own AI portraits. And I have done tons of photo shoots in my lifetime, getting all made up and all dressed up. And it's a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort. And it's harder where I am now. I live in a rural place without all the, without all the access to Los Angeles and tons of photographers and tons of locations and all the things. And so, yeah, I saw that and I was just so intrigued. I thought, wow, if I could make my own portraits for my website or for business use in the future, that would be amazing. I saw that and then I tried to do it myself. I was like, I'm going to learn to do this myself. I can do it. I can learn anything. I can teach myself anything. I do not need this course. I don't need it. And so I went and I learned, and I did learn. I learned how to do it, but it was really freaking hard for one. It takes a lot of Photoshop skills, which I have, which was fine, but it took hours to do one face swap. And not only hours, but like even when I was done, it still didn't look quite right. Still, it was off. Things were off. So I just bit the bullet and I was like, I'm getting this class. I can't, now I want to do this so bad and I'm going to learn. And then getting in the class, I didn't expect all the other things that would come with AI. In the courses. I thought that I would just learn how to make these portraits and make my new website and move on, honestly.
Yeah, me
and
too.
yeah, did you feel the same way? Just like I'm going to learn this and that's going to be that and I'll be done.
Yeah, it'll just be another skill I add into my skill set, and then it'll be fine. But then, you get into the AI illustration, and it's like, whoa! And yeah, I've been like, it's mind blowing what's happened. Okay,
Yeah.
so before we go down that rabbit hole, because we're gonna talk more about like how AI has impacted both of our lives.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your background because you're from LA, like you're from the big city, and now you live in a little teeny tiny rural town. But tell us all a little bit more about your background in art too, because you're super talented artist. You have this huge history
Aw,
in graphic design and like all kinds of stuff. You've done amazing things.
thank you. Well, yeah, I feel like I've always been an artist since I was a kid. My parents are both artistic. My sister is artistic. I had art all around me all the time. We always had art books and watched art shows, Bob Ross, and all that. And I just have always loved art. But in high school, college, I took tons of art classes. Just wanted to focus on art and be a painter, really. That was really what I was going for. While I was in college, graphic design became a bigger thing. Photoshop came out, Illustrator came out. It started to be something you could achieve without having to know how to cut and paste, basically, layouts. And I have done that a couple of times, actually, just to learn when we were first in graphic design classes. But it's all gone so far beyond that anymore. But
Okay.
but yeah, so I started learning graphic design as like a fallback, and it ended up being my career. Really, I have done graphic design since '96. That was my first commercial job. Was in '96. I got paid for, and I've been doing it ever since. And I just really love graphic design. I love how it's there's so much art in it that you don't think is in it. That you have to have an eye for color and balance and layout and composition and symmetry and when to use asymmetry. Like I love asymmetry, but when you can use it, when you can't, and all, there's so many things. And like, we've talked about in the past, I'm such a font snob. I love typography. I love lettering and looking at fonts and choosing through hundreds of fonts. It's one of my favorite things.
Also, you really do. Yeah, you really do. I'm one of those designers that don't really geek out over fonts. I mean, I definitely love my design principles, and I'm all balance and design and making things look pretty, but like the whole obsession with fonts is beyond me. But so Blume and I obviously are friends, and we talk on a regular basis. And just so that everyone knows, Blume actually got me to buy a book about fonts. It's a whole book. It's just about fonts. That's all it is. So I will report back as to how interesting it is, but we're going to see how it goes. So anyway, and everybody's in the chat. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you here. So this is another really interesting thing about your history. So your mom was an artist, and she's actually she got into AI art before you did.
Yeah. She was super into it. She was really excited about it at first. She was making portraits of her dog and, just doing all these cute things like psychedelic golden retriever, so cute.
Just for fun.
Just for fun. And she didn't really pursue it beyond that, just for the fun of it sort of thing. She basically paints with beads. It's hard to explain, but she places beads with a tweezer, teeny tiny seed beads, one at a time, and then makes like a painting out of the really beautiful beads. So it's a really fine process, and it takes a lot of fine motor skills, but it's beautiful. It's stunning when it comes out, and you just can't believe the amount of work that goes into them when you see it up close.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Very cool. If she has a website, we'll have to link to it in the description.
Oh,
that's cool. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so back to the AI then. So tell us a little bit more about, so you have this background in art, and you kind of happened into AI, and a lot of people, we both know that AI is really controversial still, and kind of just like Photoshop was when it came out. And we've both heard a lot of the complaints and stuff about how it doesn't feel good to artists, or it's taking artists' work. And yet you and I both, as artists, were fascinated by it and amazed with what it did for us, and how it made us feel and how it like impacted our creativity. So if you would speak to that a little bit about what were some of the initial surprises that came about when you started working in the AI.
Oh, yeah. It's so interesting because I was really pessimistic. I bought the course and I still was kind of anti-AI. Wow. Even at the beginning of the course. Wow. And the course instructor would talk about AI, talk about getting into AI and what it could do. And she showed some very simple examples in the beginning classes. And it was sorry, I clicked a button and it got me totally distracted. Apologies.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, so you're just getting started in the class and you're still a little anti-AI, but you're in it because it's so cool. Yeah.
So I was like, what is happening? And I was like, I don't know if I'm into this, and I just paid a lot for this course, but I don't know if I'm going to really even do it myself because I'm a little bit nervous about it. I was really very pessimistic about it, but trying to keep an open mind. And then once I got to start playing with it, that is when I started to test it, like kind of like I was picturing myself as the Velociraptor in Jurassic Park. You know how it like tests the boundaries and checks to find the out. Anyway, I was testing AI's boundaries, and I actually tried to make my art, honestly, to see if it would. And it couldn't. It couldn't make anything as nuanced as I make with my hands. And so I thought that was really interesting. That was my first test. Another test
So
that
dive into a little more about that. Say a little bit more about that. Like, how were
sure.
you prompting for it to?
Yeah, so I would describe one of my art pieces to the nth degree, like all the way down to the details, every little bit of it, the colors, the shapes, the imagery, how detailed it was, the illustration style. At the time, I didn't know I could put in an image of my art and see if it could replicate it. I did try that later, and it didn't work. So it kind of gave me this confidence of right away gave me this confidence of I could still create things by hand with those nuances and that beauty. And AI can't take that from me. It can't replicate that. It just can't do the same thing that I do. And I thought that was really powerful for me. And that was like the first hurdle to jump over in my pessimism against AI. And the second one, I think, was I was talking to a friend of mine. Most of my friends are like, oh no, AI. And I was talking to one friend, and she's a scientist, and she's very open to new things, And so she wanted to know more about it. She's like, is this scary? Is it good? What is it? And we started talking about it, and she makes art also. She's a glass fusion artist. And she said, could it make a glass fused hummingbird? And so I was like, let me try. So I tried, and it did. It made a beautiful gives us 4 options, gives us these 4 beautiful hummingbirds. And I sent them to her, and she says, oh, this is amazing. This is a really good tool. And I said, why? And she said, I never thought to put the glass pieces the way they placed them in the images. And now this gives me new ideas for making future pieces.
Oh, cool.
And now they'll still look different than her pieces, but they give her ideas. They spurred her ideas. And then when I realized that, did that for her, I started doing that for myself. What kinds of things could I spur imagination and more creativity for myself? And the more and more I use it, and the more and more creative I get with it, the more and more the creativity flows through everything I'm doing, in my marketing, in my job, in my client work, in my business, everything. It's just flowing through everything. And I find that really powerful.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So it's really interesting that the first thing, because I would say I went through something very similar, that the first step to really kind of falling in love with AI, and it for anyone listening, when we're talking about AI imagery, we're probably talking about Midjourney. That's our image creation tool of choice. Although we experiment with all kinds of stuff, but most of the time we spend a lot of time in Midjourney. But yeah, that first thing was like getting in there, and because you see some of the stuff it makes, and it's like, wow, this is amazing, it's miraculous. But then you get in there, and it's like, no, it's got limitations. It does. It's got limitations. There are things it can't do. There are a lot of ways it can't really think outside the box. It's just got a lot of limitations, and seeing that was, like you said, a confidence booster to me too, of like, okay, I'm not going to be put out of a job overnight. It's not as much of a threat as it seems. And then once you're playing in it, and once I started getting into it and doing things, it was like, oh, I didn't think of doing it that way. Well, I didn't think of putting that there. Well, that's amazing. And like you said, it just kind of compounds the creativity. I would say I probably went through that same process with the text AI too, with the chat, as we call ChatGPT, and Claude. But yeah, anyway, that's very interesting. So talk a little bit more about your creative process with AI in your business, and how you're using AI to help your business grow.
Well, lots of ways. I mean, Claude and Chet are really great business partners. They help with ideation and with proofreading, writing, and all those sorts of things. And then Midjourney is great for my imagery creation for my business. I have an online boutique, and I can make my own mock-ups. I can make designs with with Midjourney. There's just so many things I can do that help boost that business. And I'm really excited to incorporate AI into my upcoming courses for artists to learn how to use print on demand to grow their business, because AI will help them be their partner to make things easier and to make things flow quicker and better, and not be so difficult to get to the end goal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been amazed. It's been so fun for us to talk and share our marketing strategies and stuff, because I've both learned so much about, like, oh, we can use this for that, and oh, we can use this to take up some of the heavy lifting of that task, and like social media is getting easier. I can't believe you and I sat down and did the sales page, and like, I mean, it was like 3 hours that we went through and made a completely customized sales page with all the graphics and everything. It was really super cool. Okay, so let's dive into, so let's spend a minute talking about, since this is about all AI, let's talk a minute about the text AI things and what we use it for and how we kind of make the most of it, and why we call ChatGPT Chet, because it felt like, how did that come about in the Discord group? It felt like we were cheating on ChatGPT with Claude because Claude was so good.
Yes, I asked everyone, I said, ladies that use Claude every day, because that's my preferred text AI. And ladies that use Claude every day, do you guys feel like you're cheating on Claude when you go to ChatGPT? And some of the girls said yes, and some of the girls said no, I use Chat more than Claude. And, so it was a kind of a mixed bag. But then Linda, our friend Linda, said, it's like cheating on Claude with Chet. And so called ChatGPT Chet, because it's easier to say too, Chet and Claude,
Right.
But I do have to cheat on Claude sometimes to go to Chet, because Chet can access the internet and Claude can't. So
exactly. And the reason I wanted to tell that story is because the fact that we've personified them says so much about how much we use them in our businesses and how much we rely on them. They have become, like you said, they're business partners in a way. Okay, so let's run down, just to give some concrete examples, let's run down some of the ways that we use Claude and ChatGPT, like in any given day. I definitely use it to help me write social media posts.
yeah.
I use it for blog posts for sure. I use it for these to create the show notes. So I'll take the transcript that I get from StreamYard, and I plug it into Claude, and I say, write me a blog post that has all the show notes. And Claude is so amazing. It will even break down like the timestamp. It'll take the timestamp that I get from the transcript and like pull out the major points. I'm like mind blown. But then in a couple minutes, then I have a whole blog post that summarizes and talks about everything. It'll even take a stab at including some of the important links, which is kind of amazing. Blog posts, social media. I almost never do it for emails to clients. I'm still kind of doing those off the cuff. How about you? What are some of the ways that you use it and rely on it?
Yeah, I agree. I still like to write a lot if I'm writing to people, I still like to write that myself. That's a lot more of my own voice. And not that AI can't learn your voice pretty well, but I just feel like it comes from your heart when you write it yourself for things like that. But I use Claude a lot for ideation, really. I love to create lists of like, give me 100 blog post ideas on this topic. And then I can go off and write those blogs. And then I love to put the blog that I write back into Claude and say, hey, does this sound good? Does it make sense? Did I leave anything out? Do you have any ideas of what else I should add? That kind of thing. And it's really great. It helps me sometimes expand. Maybe I have like a really short blog idea, and maybe it's just a paragraph or six sentences, and I really want to expand it and make a full blog, and I can type that in or copy paste that in, and then ask Claude to help me expand on it, and it does. And I often go back and rewrite every line because I really want it to come from me and really from my mouth, my fingers, because I want it to come across as totally me. And there are some words I would never say, and some words I do say that aren't proper grammar or proper English or proper whatever. I love to say totally and rad and Valley Girl talk from the 80s. And so, Claude's never going to do that. So I like to throw those things back in there. But yeah, and I love to write social media posts for it. I really love creating social media plans. That's the best thing. Like, instead of having it write the actual copy, I love to have it create a plan. What would be a great plan I have 6 weeks to launch this particular idea. What would be a great plan for launch? And it'll say, let's do this kind of post, then this kind of post, then this kind of post for each of the weeks. And that is invaluable, because then that starts getting your ball rolling. You can even ask it for the exact post ideas and then write those up. And so it just really is, I love it for ideation. Love.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would say you take advantage of it more for that than I do. I think that's one of the things I'm learning from you, is to use it more for ideation, because I always want to get into my strategy brain and be like, okay, I'm going to plan it all out. And sometimes I just don't have to plan it all out. Sometimes it's okay. Claude can help me out. I can rely on that. So that's really great.
Can I give you another example? It's so crazy, like totally out of business, not a business idea, but the other day, I knew I needed it to access the internet. So I asked Chet. I cheated on Claude for a minute. And I asked Chet the other day, and my kitty has diabetes, and I wanted to talk. I keep searching the internet for the answers that I'm looking for, and I can't find them. And so I asked Chet about my questions, and I said, here's my situation. This is what's going on. This is what I'm giving him. This is the treatment, et cetera, et cetera. And he was able to give me back these viable ideas of what to do to move forward, to progress his health forward. So it goes beyond just even business. You can just ask it for ideas and things. When you search in Google, you got to have the right words and the right topic and the right, you have to have the right emphasis on the right words, or you're not going to get what you were looking for. And you're going to get hundreds of articles to scan through. And what I love is that Chat scans through all those articles for me and says, here's what I found, and it's so amazing. It's funny because Siri does that in a way. You can ask Siri, what about this or whatever? How's the weather going to be today? But Siri just gives you like your weather app, opens your weather app. Oh, thanks, Siri. I could have done that. You know what I mean? Like there's no, and so I think Chat and Claude go so far beyond that. Like they're a thinking partner.
They're a thinking partner. Yeah, I love that. That's exactly what it is. And it's such a, when you work for yourself, you're so used to having to make all the decisions yourself. And that's one of the things that's blown me away about AI is like, actually, no, I don't have to figure it out all by myself. I can rely on someone to help me plan, help me strategize, help me get ideas. Yeah, it's huge support.
Yes. I always say Claude is the assistant I have always wanted.
For sure. Okay, so one more text thing before we go back to illustration. Any tricks that you have on getting Claude or Chat to sound more of like you? What are the things that you've implemented to make sure that it gets as close to your voice as possible?
Well, if you have Claude, the paid version, you have to have the paid version of Claude to be able to do this. I believe. I haven't had the free version in a long time. But I believe that to get projects, you have to have the paid version. Mm-hmm. And once you have a project, you can upload documents with your voice. You can say, this is how my voice sounds. And you can upload one of your blogs. You can upload 10 of your blogs. It gives you a limit of storage, but you can upload quite a bit of stuff. You can upload PDFs. You can upload whatever kind of document that kind of comes across with your voice. You can also have Claude help you write a description of your voice so that you can add that description to every project. Say, this is what my voice sounds like, and then you put the description in. You can also put in rules, like you can say, I never say wizard, like things that AI loves to say, the wizardry of this, Yeah. I mean, I do say wizard, but not like AI does, and so I can put in little rules like that. I don't say wizard. I don't say miraculous, or whatever it is, whatever odd term they put in regularly, I can put in and say, I don't say those things. I can also say, hey, I want to be more straightforward. And it'll rewrite anything. So if it writes me something and I say, this is too flowery. I know I like to be more conversational, but this is too flowery. And so it can draw that back in. So I really like that. And of course, with Chet, you can program your own whole chat bot with all of your voice and your information, and upload all of that stuff. So it's very similar in that way. I believe Chat has more ability in that respect than Claude, but Claude to me writes in a more conversational tone naturally. And so I think that's why I usually start with Claude.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Claude seems to be able to match my voice better. And Claude takes direction really well. That's been one of the things I've discovered too. Like you said, he'll rewrite anything. And so, and I'm big cheerleader, rah, rah, yeah, like, let's go. That's just naturally my style. But then when it'll write something in my voice, there's like exclamation points everywhere. And it's, come on, website queens. And I'm like, all right, calm down. Like, we're still professionals here. Like, tone it down. And it'll be like, okay, all right, I'll like you said, I'll tell it, no, make it more direct, or make it more conversational, or make it more persuasive. Like, I can actually tell it if I'm writing sales copy, I can say, no, make this more persuasive, talk me into buying this thing. And it takes that direction very well. So, okay, awesome.
Yeah. And, recently I went through a whole blog back and forth. I wrote the blog, then I put it in Claude to help and expand and whatever. And then there were actual lines in there that I didn't like. And so I was like, I just said, I don't like this line, quoted it. I don't like this line, quoted it, went through the different lines and said, let's change those. And he does. He rewrites the whole thing, changes those lines. And then I see if I like those. And, there was still one I didn't like. And so we have this back and forth. And that's why I say it's like a business partner. Or an assistant, it's someone that you can go back and forth with until it's just right. And then when you get it to the end and it's just right, and it sounds exactly like you, because you originally wrote it, but then it helped you kind of expand on it. And you've gone through and fine-toothed everything. It's just really a beautiful thing. It's really a fun process, honestly, and so much faster. Normally, if I was doing that on my own without an assistant, I'm going to write the blog and then I'm going to sleep on it. And then the next day I'm going to reread it and go through and change it up, see what else I can add. I might sleep on it again, go through again. And 3, 4, 5 days later, I've got a blog. Woo! This process, it's an hour, half hour, it's very simple.
Yeah, I love that. I'll say one more thing on the writing piece. Yeah. And I read this somewhere that for how-tos, for tutorials, and for things like I want a summary for show notes and things like that, the AI is perfect for that. And like you said, it's a time saver. Instead of it taking me 3 or 4 days to write a blog post, I can get one in half an hour or an hour. That's beautifully done, and it's accurate, and it works, and I've proofed it all. It sounds like me, and like, we're good to go. Because editing a bad page is easier than writing from a blank page, So, but when it comes to thought leadership, those are the ones where I rely on myself. And sometimes, like you said, I'm learning to go to Claude for maybe some ideation or help structuring it. But if I have something that I want to say about like websites that I know is unique to me, like, your contact pages where your leads go to die because of how you have that generic forum that everyone has, like when I say those kinds of things and I'm ranting about something, that's mine. And I know that needs, okay, that's going to be a longer blog post and stuff, but having Claude and Chat to supplement is super important.
Yeah, and something like that, you've written it from your heart, you've written exactly how you feel, you have this unique perspective, but then you put it in Claude or Chat, and then they can help you make sure you didn't ramble in places. They can help you make sure it makes sense from top to bottom, instead of sometimes you read back something and you go, oh my gosh, I used past tense, then present tense, then past tense, then present tense. And how did I do that? And if you hadn't had Claude or Chet, they find that. But if I just post that, then a year later, I'm looking at this old blog going, oh, I didn't do that very well, did I? I've got past tense, future tense, current, present tense. I'm all over the place.
Right. That's a really good point. It's almost like for the how-tos and the show notes, summaries, those kinds of blog posts, you can get it to help you on the front end, but for your thought leadership stuff, you can still get it to help you on the back end, help you restructure. I love that. That's such a good tip too. Okay, so back to AI illustration and the coolness that this is, because there's a lot of similar skills and psychological processes I've gone through with the AI illustration piece too, like falling in love with it and then hating it, but then you kind of learn to work with it. So talk a little bit, and one of the things that you and I talk about, and all the people you and I love and follow talk about this too. Rory and Megval and like a lot of the people that we really admire in this space talk about how AI impacts their creativity and like what it's done for them as artists. Speak to that for a moment.
Yeah. I was saying earlier that it bleeds through everything. And I have a private Discord group where we have challenges every day. And I do the challenge myself to post it, and pushing myself to create a piece of art that I wouldn't normally have created. Like yesterday's challenge was Weasel, or today's. And I wouldn't normally have said, oh, I'm going to create a Weasel image today. But it pushes my thought process to, well, what is the Weasel going to be doing? What's it going to look like? What's the image going to be? I don't want to just type in Weasel. You can, you'll get a Weasel. It won't be anything like your art. And I think that's where creativity and artistic ability come into AI art, is that people that have those things already, you can see it in their AI art because they are very creative with their output and what they create versus someone who maybe has never been an artist, which is still awesome that they get to make art, even though they don't know how to paint or draw or any of those things. But if they aren't very creative yet, you can kind of see that in their output. You can tell they typed in Weasel and it gave Weasel. So it's really fun getting to push those limits and those boundaries and see what you can create. My Weasel is wearing haute couture floral suit, and he's anthropomorphic and he's just adorable. And that sort of thing, I didn't know how to create when I first started doing AI art. It took time to learn. It took watching what other people do, the words other people use to prompt things. Prompt engineering is definitely a skill.
That's so true.
Yeah, I just feel like doing that creative work every single day is just making everything I do more creative. Everything.
Yeah, I'll throw a plug out there for Rory's course. He gets so geeky into prompted. I learned so much from him about how to structure a prompt. And it's funny, he's got a photography background. And to your point, this is something you and I have seen over and over and over again. Somebody asked me once, because I offer AI photo shoots, and they were like, well, aren't you worried that this is going to put photographers out of business? And I'm like, are you kidding? The people that I see in my classes who are doing this stuff, the ones who have a photography background are making the most gorgeous images. Mm-hmm. And like you said, they're creative, they're fun because they can tell the AI, this is a low angle shot and we're using this kind of camera and we have this kind of lighting and I want the person to be standing in this way and it's this time of day and and I want it to be in this composition, and like they literally are directing the photo shoot, and their stuff is amazing. You can see people's artistic backgrounds in their prompts and in their images for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that you brought that up. The idea that artists will be put out of work, and And while there are, when Photoshop came out, the same thing happened. Everyone said, oh no, all illustrators will be put out of work. Do you know what one of the most popular types of art is today? Illustration.
Yeah.
Illustration art. People want hand done illustration art in their magazines. They want it in their children's books. They want it on their walls. They want it on their t-shirts. They want it in everything. Hand drawn illustration will never be replaced by what a computer makes. Even we've had Photoshop and Illustrator that can make illustrations for decades. And people still want hand drawn illustrations, hand done watercolors, hand painted oil paintings. All these things I think will still be so valuable. In fact, I honestly really believe, and maybe I'll be wrong, but I really do believe that handmade art will become more valuable as AI progresses and more people use it. Handmade art will have a higher value and will sit up here, especially if you are a very good artist. I think that your art will suddenly skyrocket in value. And that's kind of a very cool thing because there won't be as many people maybe sticking to the handmade art, and there won't be as many people that are as good at it, maybe because they go into AI art from the start. Younger people go straight into it in college or something. And so there may not be as much fine art out there as there used to be. But I think that just makes it even more valuable too.
Yeah.
And there's still always the value of creation. When you create fine art with your hands, when you paint, when you draw, when you color, even with a coloring crayon and a coloring book, there's something meditative about it. There's something spiritual about it. It's like it comes from your soul and from your heart. And that's so different. It's not that you can't do that in prompt engineering and that you can't come up with these things that are in your heart and body. But when you do it physically with your body, it's just something different. It's something that I don't think will ever go away. I think it's something we'll always all want to do. Like, do you see crafters stop crafting because now you can make an image of a craft? No. I still want to craft. I could see 1,000 people make a painted pine cone on Pinterest. Right. Do I still want to make a painted pine cone? Yes. I don't just need the picture. I need to make the painted pine cone. Right. It's a thing that if you want to do it, you will still do it.
Even with AI. I love that. I totally 100% agree with you. And I love the take that AI will contribute to that ultimately, not take from it. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so on that note, let's take a quick break because I want to talk about your businesses that you're doing, and everybody's saying hi. And then I have a couple people asking about that font book. I'll make sure I put it in the description. It's right over there. It's like literally right next to my table. I'm going to open it one day.
Mine's down there on the bookshelf.
That's too funny. I think it's called Type, but I'll put the link in the description. And yeah, just hi, everyone. I'm so glad to have you guys here. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about what you do and your businesses, because let's talk about what you currently do and the shop that you have, the store that you have, and how you're using AI in it. And then let's talk about the course that you're developing.
Yeah, so with my current business, I have an online boutique, and I also have a site for my illustration art that I sell prints of my illustration art. And AI is definitely helping with that. Like, AI helped me design my new illustration website. It's blumebauer.com. And you'll see that like there's tons of AI in there. There's some AI imagery. There's some animation in there that wouldn't have been in the site without AI.
I was going to say, really, can you take a look really quick? Because your site is kind of incredible.
Oh, wow. Yeah, sure. That would be fun.
Yeah.
And so putting that all together was with the help of AI. I make beautiful websites. I've done websites for years and years, but having these AI images and the AI portrait, of course, of me, of my younger me. But, and the butterflies, I've always loved butterflies. When you put two bees back to back, it makes a butterfly. So that's my connection with butterflies. As you can see my little logo. Yeah. And so as you scroll, there's all of these images are AI to draw people in. And then as you scroll more, there's little animations happening. And then you can see my actual art prints in the white sections. And so, it was really fun making all the little bugs move and all the things. And I wouldn't have done that before in a website. And so it's really fun and exciting. And I think it makes it more dynamic and more interesting to visit. So yeah.
It's so cool. I love all these little elements, all the movement that happens. And it's such a cool way. And we talked about how your style naturally is sort of maximalist, but it's such a cool way to include all these elements and, like you said, show off your art and the things that you've created. I mean, it's so cool. And let's go ahead to, let's pull up your other, is there anything in particular you want to look at while we're here?
Well, we can look at, if you go to one of the categories, go to the flowers maybe, or any of the categories.
Go to the whimsical stacks.
If you click on them, I believe it takes us to, yeah. So then we go to, and you can see here when you get to just the prints that my work, even though it's very detailed, if you look up close, at a glance, it's very minimalist. I love a blank background with a very rich subject. And the point of all my illustrations lately are stacks. I made that chicken stack that we were just looking at as a prompt from a class. I was actually in a daily creating challenge group in Facebook, and the first prompt I ever got was chicken. And I drew the chicken, and I drew the chickens on the ground. And I thought, well, that's kind of boring. Like, chickens are always on the ground. And then I was like, wouldn't it be funny if one of the chickens is standing on top of the other chicken? And so I moved the chicken onto because I draw with an Apple Pencil on my iPad. I moved the chicken onto the other chicken, and I thought, oh, that's funny. And then I started redrawing them so that they could stack up on top of each other. And once I did that, I was hooked. I started stacking everything, as you can see.
This is hilarious.
Space objects, fruit, monsters, everything.
I love that this created a whole category in your store for you.
And it's so fun because each one of those pots right there, the elephant pot, that took me days to draw, probably maybe even a week or two. That one was really hard. So when you look up close, they have these fine details that are just, and that's what AI can't replicate exactly. It can't replicate what's in my mind and in the detail that I want and in the color scheme and everything, even the composition and stuff just doesn't quite come across exactly the way I would have done it. And then this is my online boutique. This has an AI header. Go Midjourney. It's learning how to spell, which is fantastic. I cannot believe how beautifully it spelled that. When I first started, it couldn't spell anything.
Right.
So that's AI. And then as you scroll, I've got products, and the royalties are my newest product. And so I'm kind of featuring those right now. But yeah, I've got some animation and things going on in there that I might not have had before. Just makes it a little more fun, a little more interesting and exciting. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, the beautiful work, the fact that you can make things like this. I mean, that's what makes the AI illustration stuff so impressive. And we'll pull up our sales page too and show that off too, because that's something that's kind of amazing. But before we do that, talk a little bit about your new course, because it speaks to the print on demand store that we just looked at.
Oh, yes. So my new courses, it will be a membership in courses, and we'll have pre-recorded classes, live classes, and a community. Sorry, the words left my brain. A community. So I'm really excited. It's going to be for artists who want to learn to grow their businesses using print on demand, and with AI as their assistant. And so I'm going to teach how AI can be your assistant and help you get those things, make those things happen, and help you get unstuck on the parts that you get stuck on, like marketing yourself, posting on social media, all of those things. Those are places where a lot of artists get stuck, and AI can help us get unstuck past that so that we can keep creating and keep getting our stuff on more products. And I'm going to teach everyone from painters to sculptors, to AI artists, any kind of artist. I'll focus a lot on fine art. We'll talk about how to get your fine art onto a product, and what kinds of products make sense for your particular fine art. Not a rectangle painting isn't always perfect on a t-shirt. I know it's kind of in style right now, but that won't always be in style. So yeah, we'll talk about literally everything under the sun about print on demand. I have hundreds, if not 1,000 print on demand sites to share with everyone. I have all of the back end details of how to make it happen, get it going, and make it easier for you. Get a website going easier. Not everyone knows how to make a website. Not everyone knows how to run an e-commerce. Those are complicated. They sound complicated, but now with AI and with my classes, I feel like between the two, you can learn how to do it more easily. And it's still going to be work. Everything's work. There's no get rich quick schemes here.
Right.
But if you are passionate about this and you really want to have your art on t-shirts or on mugs or on prints, even, whatever you want to have it on, blankets, seriously, I found rugs the other day, you guys. There's so many cute things we can make.
So cool. So this is what I love about this course and you teaching it. Because of your background, artists, art, the art world, fine art, and what fine artists go through and what their, kind of challenges are and their lives are like, trying to build a business, build an income stream from like just having fine art. And it's one of the reasons you were so passionate about, look, you can take your art and you can create these other beautiful products. And because of your background in social media, in business, in strategy, in graphic design, and all these things, in web design, you have like this perfect toolbox that you're creating that can help them get a business up and running, to just create other income streams for them and other ways. And as we've seen, other ways for them to be creative and, kind of have fun with the art that they're already making.
Yeah, I feel like the hardest thing as an artist is if I'm a painter, maybe I paint one painting a month. It takes a long time to create a painting. If you're creating an oil painting, it might even take longer because there's drying process between the steps. And so creating art takes a lot of our hours, a lot of time, and you can only sell that one piece. And then
one time, yeah.
And that is something that that's kind of the reason I got into print on demand for my own art and for myself, is I wanted to have a way to share that art in more ways than just the original artwork. And it's been really, really rewarding. It's very exciting seeing your art on things in the wild. I saw, I've seen people in my leggings. I've seen people with a hoodie on with my art. And it's just, you just go, whoa, that's so cool.
Oh, that's awesome. It's like being famous. And in a way, it's like you're being famous. I love that.
It is. You do feel, and it's so hard. We all know as artists, like how many of us really make it to fame, not that many. It's like 1%, it feels like. I don't know what the real number is, but it feels very small. But it does give you this bit of like you can find your tribe, find people who love your style, what you love, and then they want to get your products because they just, you get like kind of fans of your stuff. I have people ask me, can you make something like this, with this kind of subject? Because I love your art and I want it with this subject. And sometimes I do that, it just, it really depends on what's going on, but I love to do that for people sometimes if I've got time.
Yeah, I think that's such a cool experience for artists to have, for any business owner to have. I think that's such a cool thing that you're doing. So, and here's the thing. So you and I talk on a regular basis because we're friends and we talk about what's going on in our businesses and stuff. And so I know you're working on this course and you're planning to launch it early-ish next year, right?
Yes.
And you don't have quite a release date, but you're wanting to build your list for your membership. Now, yes. I have a membership. I'm starting one as well. And I do have a launch date for mine. It's going to be February 1st. And you and I have talked about what we're going to do. I know we've kind of challenged each other, like things that we want to have done and deadlines and things like that. And you and I have discussed, man, if we could, when we were newbies, if we could have just been a fly on the wall to watch someone else doing what you and I are getting ready to do, it would have been so transformational, would have been such a huge deal, because you and I know the value of it. I mean, just you and me talking weekly about what we're doing in our businesses has been so encouraging for both of us and so supportive and so helpful. And because of all of our expertise, like we're helping each other, it's been so amazing. And so we're like, well, what if we could create a thing where other people could like hang out and just see what we do for a month to launch these memberships? So obviously we have a thing. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, so we're doing 30 days behind the scenes, marketing behind the scenes, and we're going to share daily. Diane and I will each share daily what we did to market our businesses and how much money we spent, what the analytics look like, what the process looked like of making the ads or testing ads, on and on and on and on. Everything to do with marketing for the two ideas. Diane for her membership and me for building my email list so that when I do launch my courses, the email list is large and people can sign up right away once it's ready. And so I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited to start building that list and getting it bigger and start nurturing it too and sending out tips ahead of the launch. So that will be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be very cool because they'll actually get to see my launch. They'll actually get to see like how many, because I want to launch February 1, so they're gonna see like how I do it and how many people I get. And if I don't get anybody, they're gonna see that too. It's gonna be everything that happens. And I just wanted to show the sales page for it really quickly because obviously we use Midjourney to create all these images. And
Diane made beautiful portraits of us if you can't see them right now. Oh my goodness.
Yes, they're so cool. I want to share one tip with you guys because so Blume made this image and we just fell in love with it. We thought it was so pretty and we wanted to make this kind of the centerpiece of everything we did on the sales page. And so you can see as you scroll through, everything kind of matches it because obviously when we were creating things in Midjourney, I used that image as a style reference. So it gave us, more flowers and it gave us happy people and gave us like icons. I put in icons, but even when I was doing the portraits, I still used it as a style reference, but I set the style weight to 20. And I find that 15 to 20 is usually kind of a sweet spot and it keeps the color palette, but it doesn't put flowers everywhere. It put flowers in her dress and it gave us some flowers, but it doesn't like go nuts. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind for sales page fun. But I'll link to the sales page in the description too. It's also on my site and Blume has one on her site too. Oops, I should say stop sharing. I was going to say something else about that. Oh, but yeah, we were just so excited to do this because it was like, it's just seeing what somebody else does like on a daily basis because you learn all the stuff, we've read all the books and we've taken all the courses and create these posts and these blog posts. But then you're like, yeah, but like literally how? Like, what does this even look like on a daily basis? Like, I'm exhausted already. I'm trying to take care of clients. I've got to eat dinner every night. I've got so much on my plate. Like, how do you do it? And that was the thing that Blume and I were like, I think it would be so helpful if we were and who's willing to do this? Who's willing to say, hey, we'll share you everything, what we spend on ads, who signs up. People may unsubscribe in droves from my list. We don't know what's going to happen. We hope that's not going to happen, but whatever happens, we'll share it and you'll get to learn from everything we do. So I'm excited.
Yes. And, I think the other thing that's going to be really fun is that it's at the start of the year. And so we'll be posting every single day. And if you guys join, you can follow along however you want, check in weekly or follow every day. But if you follow every day, I feel like it's going to give you the energy. It's also going to energize us. So like we're going to all be fueling ourselves off each other's energy in this group, and sharing those day-to-day details really does push you also to move forward in your business. You'll see that forward momentum, and you will want it for yourself. And Diane and I know that firsthand. We've taken a course like that where it really pushed us forward every single day. We were like, what are you doing today? What are you doing today? Let's do this. Let's do 3 things today. Let's do 5 things today. You know, it's very powerful to work alongside someone. So I really, really hope you guys can work alongside us and be there every day and ask us all the questions you have, you know, and it doesn't have to be just about what exactly we're doing, because you're probably doing something completely different. And working for clients all these years, both of us have had clients in so many genres. And so, you know, I've even had a plumber, like I've had lots of clients. So there will be we'll have a lot of answers and a lot of resources, I think, for you also, if you're not in our exact fields. I still think it's going to be very valuable. And it's also that energy is going to be invaluable at the start of the year, pushing your year forward, pushing your business forward.
Oh, for sure. It's kind of like, I really think of it as like having a little mastermind. It's like the mastermind we wished we'd had when we started, because when you're just starting out and if you're surrounded by a bunch of other newbies, you know, especially in like, I feel like the early stages, you're surrounded by people who don't quite have all their stuff together. They don't quite have the tools yet. Maybe they're not really committed yet. Maybe they're not really in. Maybe they're just really scared, because we all are. I mean, and they haven't learned how to overcome that yet, you know, and not to diss anybody. I mean, we've all been there, but you get a different level of feedback. I mean, I'll say this, I'll tell this story, because, you know, Blume and I met in this course that we took. Blume and I met, and I could just see there were just little things that she was talking about that I was like, she plays on a different level. We might kind of see eye to eye. And she asked for feedback on her website, and I'm like, all right, let's see. And I gave her feedback, like really thorough, real feedback, and she implemented all of it. She was like, oh wow, yes, all of these things. And I was like, okay, so we agree on a lot of things. We're similar in a lot of ways. And of course, the more we got to talking, we were like, oh my gosh, we're like the same person. And we're at so similar stages of our businesses. We've both done some really, not to toot our own horns, but we've both done some really impressive, amazing things. And we're just both happen to be at this place where we're kind of starting new things again. We're in this little transition phase. And that's what gave us the idea of like, watch us do this. We know we're going to do this. We know it's going to be awesome and amazing and successful. We'll surely fail and fall over sometimes and make mistakes, but heck, you can watch that too. Like, you know, come on board. It's going to be great. We don't mind sharing, because we know what it's like to be surrounded by other people who are movers and shakers and who really want to make something happen for themselves. And that's what I think that is invaluable about this, is because you're going to really get the exposure of, you know, what is it? It's like the 5 people that you spend the most time with, you know, really influence you. And make the 2 of us one of, you know, 2 of your 5 people for that month, you know, like, let's take your business to the next level.
Yeah. I think it's going to be so exciting, so energetic, so fun. And, you know, there will be, like you said, there will be those days where it's like, I had a migraine, I got nothing done, I feel like a loser, I feel like have no hope for tomorrow. And then I'll wake up the next day and say, guess what? We're going. We're doing this now, you know, and everyone has that. And it's kind of feels good to see that. It feels good to see that not everyone has every day is perfect and going well, and every marketing tactic that you try works perfectly. You know, one of the other things that I'm always dying to know in classes that is like almost never shared, and something I'm excited we're going to share, is how much money people spend. People talk vaguely about how much money they spend. Oh, I spend thousands per day. I spend 200,000 a year, you know, like these grand numbers. And you think, really? well, how much are you making anything after the 200,000 a year? Like, there's no numbers, there's no real details. There's like these thrown out imaginary numbers.
Right. It's like the math doesn't math. Yes.
There's never like I want to hear that guy that tells me he spends 200,000 a year on ads. I want to hear him say, and then my profit was 650,000 that year. You know what I mean? I want to hear after the ad spend, or it was 450 after the ad spend of the 200,000. I want to hear those numbers so that it seems worth it. Like, who's going to start putting out 200,000 in ads a year if you don't know what you're going to get back? Like, you've got to see some examples of those sort of things. I also love starting really small with advertising spend. I had this theory that if Facebook thinks you're poor, it gives you better results. And I've done all these tests with different clients and stuff, and every time it never fails. So you're going to get to see that. And I think that's going to help a lot of people that don't have big funds to be spending thousands a day. They're going to get to see what $50 will do, what $100 will do at a time, and see how that works. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Seeing those numbers, seeing the number spent, the number made, those sort of things are things that aren't always fully shared. They're just kind of hinted at, and usually more in like a braggery way, like, oh, I spend thousands a day on ads.
Yes.
And that's like, well, but how much do you make a day then? Do you make 10,000 a day so that the thousands a day on ads make sense? I just always wonder these things.
And for how many days did you spend that? Oh, I spent $10,000 a day on ads. And I'm like, yeah, but you ran a 4-day campaign. Like, calm down.
Yeah. Is it thousands dollars a day, 365?
Right. That's different.
That's $365,000. I'd like to know how much you made after that.
Right. And I'll expand on that too, because Blume's very excited about sharing the costs, the numbers, and I'm very excited about sharing how much time things take. Yes. And because that's one of my things is like when somebody's like, oh yeah, like I did all these things today. And then you hear like they let loose in some podcast interview that they're like, yeah, well, I usually go to bed around 2 a.m. because I work until, 1:30 in the morning or something. And I'm like, can I please have a life? Like, I don't understand. I like to work too, but like, come on. So that's one of the other things that I know I'm going to be really particular about tracking is like exactly how much time I spend on tasks, which again is going to be really interesting to see how the AI plays into that too, because we're both really committed to being as transparent as possible about as many things as possible.
And if we forget to tell you something, ask us. Like if you feel like we left something out, ask us. We're going to tell you, because that's kind of our commitment for these 30 days is to just really divulge all of it. Everything.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun, and we've got a lot of comments going on in the chat. I'm so excited that you guys are excited about it. You can find it on both of our websites. On my website, it's swayrisecreative.com, and if there's a bar at the top, if you click on that bar, it'll take you right to the page. What's your link, Blume?
And we'll put it in the chat for you.
Oh, perfect, great, good job. And everybody's saying, hi, yes, you can sign up now. It's live. You can sign up now. We're going to start January 2nd, but we will open the Facebook group a few days before, so you can get in, introduce yourself. We're going to do like sort of a, little state of our businesses, like kind of where we're at and like what we hope to accomplish over the month and stuff. So, so that'll come at the end of the year. And yeah, awesome. Oh, awesome. And she dropped her link in. Blume's link is in the chat. Wonderful. This was amazing.
And we're going to do a 90-minute at the end of the 30 days. We'll do a 90-minute live Q&A and like kind of a wrap up. Like, how did things go? How do you feel like things went? What will you do different next time? What are you going to work on next? What's going to move you forward? And then we'll take all your questions.
Yeah. And like, just like a whole debrief of how we think everything went. And yeah, it's going to be really fun. So Blume, thank you so much for being here with me today. This was amazing.
I had so much fun. I knew I was going to, I mean, it's chatting with you. How could it not be fun?
Right, for sure, obviously. So thanks so much again for being on the show. Links to Blume's work are going to be in the show notes, which you will find at swayrisecreative.com and in the description below. You can support me by checking out my website at Swayrise Creative. I have tons of resources for designers and small businesses there. Next week, I will be talking to Squarespace web designer Christy Price about how to build a successful web design business, including multiple income streams, digital products, and how to price your services.
Ooh,
And thanks so much for listening. Yeah.
oh my
See you
God.
next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.